Hey everyone, how's it going? Today I am doing the update on my ZTE speed. Reason why I'm doing this update for, like I mentioned in the last video with the Sharp Aqueous Crystals, I'll be doing updates on certain phones here in the next little bit. Because right now I got nothing new to review. So I will be doing some updates on some previous phones that I've already reviewed and everything, and I'm going to kind of give you the basic specs of the phone again a little bit, just a few little things, and kind of give you my experience and my opinion on what I think of the phone after using it for quite some time. So this is a ZTE Speed. It does run Android 4.4 KitKat. It's got a 4.5-inch display at 540 by 960 resolution, 245 ppi. It does have a 5 megapixel camera on the rear with an LED flash, and it records in 720 and has a 2 megapixel front facing camera top. Runs a 1.2 gigahertz quad core Snapdragon 410 processor with 1 gigabyte of RAM, 8 gigs of built-in storage, with around 4.5 gigs available to user, and it will support a micro SD card. The battery is non-removable on this phone, and this phone does support LTE and Sprint's enhanced LTE. This phone has been kind of one of them love-hate phones. It's been a good phone, don't get me wrong, but it has had some issues that I have experienced with this phone here, mainly in the past couple of days or the past week. I've been having some issues with the phone. Now, don't know why, don't know why I'm going, it's going through these kind of problems, but I'm going to give you some of the goods and the bads. So I'm going to start with the goods first. To me, the goods has good call quality. Really don't have any problem with anybody hearing me on the or me hearing anybody on the phone. It's pretty clear. The rear speaker for a rear speaker is pretty loud. I'm able to hear it ring very nice, very well, and listening to music, especially if it's not covered, is pretty delightful. It's pretty clear and not much of an issue at all. Camera quality is not the worst either. It's not the best by far, but it's not by far the worst. It does take pretty adequate pictures if you want something quick and fast to take a picture. To me, one of the best qualities of the camera is the front-facing video camera. Takes excellent self videos like this here. Of course, right now using the Galaxy S3, the old phone from Sprint. This thing's about had it, but anyway, this has a really good front-facing camera for recording videos. Has a good microphone, and it's really pretty clear and record. You can record in several different resolutions, like 640 by 480, 720 by 480, and of course 720p. Reception is also pretty good on this phone. I really not had any dropped calls, any issues with drop calls, nothing of that sort. The phone runs fairly smooth. Now there's times it does slow down. There's times that it will run quick and fast, and there's times where it will just crawl like a snail. And it's kind of aggravating, but it's a budget phone. Most places you can get them from between 40 and 80 bucks. So what do you expect? Not nothing high end, high performance, but for what it is nice and it does get the job done. I'm trying to think, there was something else that I want to make mention. It's always good to have a notification light on a phone. Let's see if it'll blink here, because I got one right now blinking. Yeah, well, may not, I don't know. Anyway, it's got one on it, so that's a plus for some don't care. Me, personally, I like it. Now we'll get into the negatives. And one of the negatives, to me, is not having the battery being able to be removed. I don't like that. I personally prefer having the battery where I can remove it and change it if I need to. If I'm out somewhere, the battery goes dead, it's good to have a spare battery. Or if the power goes out, and you don't have a one of them charging packs, one of them wireless charging packs to be able to charge your phone or whatever, then it's really cool to have a good extra spare battery. But, you know, just whatever. You know, not a big deal. Some it is some it's not. Another issue that I have found here lately is, for some reason, when I call people on this phone, even though I have good reception, they have a hard time hearing me. I'm not sure if it's my phone, their phone, the network, towers, I don't know. But, you know, other phones I've used with Boost Mobile, no issues. But with ZTE speed, sometimes I do run into a little bit of issue with people saying they can't hear me very well. So, could be the phone. I may have got it wet a little bit or something. It could be my fault. I don't know. It could just be an isolated thing. One thing that I have had a problem with is sometimes the phone does freeze. The other day, you know, I had when you put the phone on here, you know, I got all my apps situated, you know, and everything on the phone, and they're all together, and they're all, you know, uniform the way I like them to be. Well, the other day, I was using the phone, just using it, and I was on an app, and it forced close. Well, when it forced close, the phone reset itself. Well, when it did, it went back to factory. Now, I'm not saying factory deleted itself, where all the apps was gone, but it completely cleared every home screen, and it went back to original, how it would look if you got it from the store and cut it on. That's how it looked. I was like, how can just a phone restarting itself, you know, completely get rid of all the apps that's on the home screen? They were still on the phone, so it did not give a master reset by itself. Don't get me wrong on that. That did not happen. But all the apps that were spaced specifically where I wanted them at, they were gone. And I was like, that's kind of crazy. So I have had a little bit of issue with the phone freezing some, and restarting. There's times it'll restart 2 or 3 times a day, and there's times it will go a week and never restarts. So I think it's just a cheap phone issue. You know, the phone's good in general. I would not pay an arm and a leg for this phone. I would say $40 is a really good price for this phone. And if you shop Best Buy a lot of times online, you can get them for around $40 because they go on sale, then they go off of sale for $100 and down to $50 and down to $40, and you know, it's just always good to compare prices and just check out instead of, you know, going on at the actual paying retail price at a Boost store or online. You know, it's good to check, you know, places like Walmart.com or places like Target and Best Buy, places like that where they could have them on sale for a very reasonable price. You know, like I say, $40 for this phone. You know, 3G works good, LTE works good, battery life is so-so, not the greatest in the world, but it does get you through a whole day of light to moderate usage. And the phone does seem to be made fairly well. It does creak a little bit because the back it sits good, but it's got some creaking in it, but that's no big thing. But you know, some people just find every little thing to nitpick about a phone. Me personally, I just use a phone. If it works good, hey, it's all good, you know. But there are some that I have seen that nitpick every little creak, rattle, and every little thing that goes wrong with the phone. And I ain't that way because it's a low-end phone, and you're going to get low-end results. And even though I have seen some low-end phones outlast high-end phones that you'll pay 5 times the amount for, you know, that's just something I thought I'd throw in there. But other than that, you know, the phone's been great, you know, really no issue, and it's really a pleasure to use for such a low-end device. Processor's good. It's just not a bad phone. So, any questions or comments about the ZTE Speed, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. And I'll do my best to answer them for you the best I can. If you ain't already, please subscribe to my channel. I sure would appreciate it. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see y'all in the next video.